It's always a good show when we have more cricket for you on this Monday edition of the SportsMax Zone. New Zealand joined neighbours Australia as the only two teams to confirm semi-final spots at the ongoing ICC Women's T20 World Cup, following an emphatic 54-run win over Pakistan in their Group A clash in Dubai earlier on Monday. Spinner Nashra Sandhu led the Pakistani course, claiming figures of 3 for 18 to restrict New Zealand to just 110 for 6 in their 20 overs. While needing to conjure a successful chase inside 11.3 overs to advance to the final four, Pakistan came out guns blazing. And their resulting demise was as quick as their intent, as attacking, being dismissed for 56 and 11.4 overs, as Amelia Kerr led the White Ferns with 3 for 14, drawing curtains on action in Group A. Well, it's now over to Group B, where leaders England and second place South Africa both have 6 points, with net run rate being the difference. The two, along with third place West Indies, who have 4 points, remain in semi-final contention ahead of the final group game of the tournament in Dubai on Tuesday, where the Caribbean side will come face-to-face with England. Well, the winner of that contest will book their ticket to the semis. Should West Indies complete a significant margin of victory, then the Maroon Warriors and the Poachers will advance. Now, if there's a close Windies victory, however, then the Matthews and Knight-led teams will advance. A Windies loss, on the other hand, would end their campaign, with England and South Africa progressing. West Indies head coach Shane Dietz spoke of the importance of playing on the front foot.
I think, like any game, you want to start well. Whether you bat or bowl first, you just want to start well, get on top, and then try to control the game from there and not let the opposition back in. So that's pretty much the basic game plan. Not going to give too much away. Got a few surprises up our sleeves, so that's what we'll keep that under lock and key for now. But yeah, we just got to start well and be ready, and that's going to be the key, I think, for both sides. And then either keep the pressure on, or if the opposition get a good start, we've got to fight back quickly and turn the momentum around, get that momentum quickly, and control the game from there.
He made it sound so easy, Nikhil. He says, start well, be ready. Nikhil is still with us, and what a position to be in. It's a do-or-die game. You have to win it all if you are on the Windies team.
Yeah, Maria, we knew that when the West Indies lost to South Africa, they would find themselves in this position where the only chance to get in now is to beat England. I don't know if it's that easy, where you can just say start well, because first of all, England's openers make it very difficult to start well with ball in hand, and then we know how hard it is to score against their bowling lineup. But he says they've got a few surprises up his sleeve. I've been trying to think and ponder since you guys told me to come on the show about how do you beat this England side. And it's a very tough proposition. I think, obviously, they start as massive favourites. One of the few ways I believe, I'm going to just say this now, and this might sound crazy to some people, but I believe the biggest X factor in this game from West Indies is not Matthews, it's not Dottin, it's not Taylor, it's Kiana Joseph. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but I'll tell you for 2 reasons why I think she could be vital. First of all, Sophie Eccleston, to me, is the key in that England bowling lineup, a left-arm spinner. And Kiana Joseph has shown the propensity to bat up the order. We saw that 31 she got in 18 deliveries against Scotland. As a left-hander, the only left-hander in that West Indies top order, if maybe they're chasing a lowish total or batting first, I want to set the tone. I know they've used Campbell and Dottin, but I think maybe getting her in at 3 or even opening the batting, depending on Stefanie Taylor's fitness, could be a different move that could throw England off. And then also, I think her bowling, England have got 5 right-handers in their top order. So her left-arm spin, she hasn't bowled more than 2 overs in any game this year, but she's bowled well in the opportunities she got. I think her and Afi Fletcher now become quite important because of the right-handers that England have in their batting lineup. That's just one of the ways I'm trying to think. Maybe you throw something else at England that they least expect.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it. But, you know, after what we saw from Kiana Joseph in the CPL, I wouldn't say it's crazy, because, Nikhil, we need that X factor. And the truth is, you know, we did not get an update on Stefanie Taylor. Do you have any information as to how she's doing by chance?
All I heard is that they're quite confident in the way that she's managed her body and has done it over the years. And I mean, this potentially could be her last World Cup game ever. So I think she's going to do everything in her power to make sure she's on the field. I mean, obviously, if it's not 100%, to give them at least a start in the power play where she can try to find the boundary in the first 3 or 4 overs and get them off to a good start.
Yeah, and do you think the skipper, Hayley Matthews, who would have played so much cricket, you know, she started so young, she has a lot of experience. Do you expect Hayley to do anything differently in this match against England? Because England has been so dominant for this World Cup. They are yet to lose a match, hoping it can be at the hands of the West Indies. But I know I'd be asking for a lot. Nikhil, do you expect Hayley to do anything differently?
Maria, when I think about when Hayley Matthews has been great, it has been in these positions, and it's one of the few things that really separate her from the other players in the world, where there's always a lot of expectation when Hayley Matthews plays for the West Indies on her shoulders with bat in hand. But she's proven that against the best teams, think back to the Australia series, where she won a player of the match in almost every game. Every time they come up against formidable opposition, and she knows that she has to get runs, it seems like it does something extra for her, and that's been the biggest sort of maturity in her game, where at first it was a pressure and it would sort of work to her demise. Now I think it fuels her. So I definitely expect, you know, after the 34 in the last game, I think she's found something again in her game. Hopefully she's getting wickets because it's been a barren period for her. But with bat in hand, this is the time now the West Indies need Hayley Matthews. And it is at the job of Dottin, of Joseph, of Taylor, of Campbell to take some pressure off of her by, one, be able to find the boundary, but also being able to occupy the crease so that it's not continuously the loss of wickets. And this England team will put you under pressure. They've got a variety of options in that arsenal. They will throw different, whether it's the off-spin of Charlie Dean, whether it's Eccleston, whether it's Lauren Bell who'll swing the ball. They will constantly change things. But if the longer you stay there and continue to score, the more pressure it puts them under, because this is a game that they will be expected to win.
Yeah, and Nikhil, I don't want to suggest that England are underestimating the West Indies, because we know that if the West Indies are able to produce their best game on Tuesday, they could beat England. They've beaten them 8 times in 28 meetings, I think. But I saw a report today where one of the England players were suggesting that they think they have the ability to go toe-to-toe with Australia, which kind of suggests to me that they're looking past this and looking, you know, at their title hopes, and maybe they don't think that the West Indies will trouble them. Could this be a case of them being complacent or underestimating what the West Indies may have to offer?
I still think as professionals, Lance, on the day you'll rock up and you'll say, you know, we have to win this game. They understand that you can't take anything lightly. This is a West Indies side that won the World Cup, 8 years ago. However, I think it's a funny World Cup. And you saw what happened to India in that first game, where everybody would have been pitting them against England and against Australia when the playoffs came around. Now they find themselves not there because of New Zealand, our team, similar to the West Indies, where they've got a few great players, and if they come off on the day, like a Sophie Devine or a Hayley Matthews, all of a sudden then you maybe bat first, you get to 140, and you lose a couple quick wickets, because pressure and chasing in these World Cups play a huge part. And again, there's the expectation of England being a favourite. So, listen, I don't think they'll take it lightly, but I think there's an opportunity here for the West Indies to use that underdog tie as added pressure onto England. If you bat first, grind your way to 140, 145, and back your spin that has bowled so well in the UAE with the different options that you have to put England under some pressure. The only time I've seen them on the back foot in this World Cup was against Bangladesh, where they got off to a great start. They were, you know, the openers got to 48, and then they lost 6 wickets for 62 runs. Nobody else in that middle order were able to sort of put their hand up, and there's been a reliance on their openers. Every game, one of their openers has got to 40 or more. So if you somehow get the two of them early, I think it then becomes a very interesting matchup, given the middle order and the struggles that they've had.
Yeah, and Nikhil, I kind of like what I've seen from Deandra Dottin in this tournament so far. She looks a lot sharper and fitter than she did in the women's CPL. At the moment, she boasts the best strike rate of all the batters at the World Cup at 181. And there's a part of me that just feels that if Dottin gets into high gear on Tuesday, England could be in trouble.
There's a part of me, Lance, that's thinking if she needs to go up the order. I mean, if the West Indies find themselves chasing 150 or in excess of that, that ability there to play that reverse sweep and to play the slog sweep and to find a boundary like she's done this tournament, I think it's a similar case to Puran, as we've discussed. You don't want to have your best players not facing deliveries. So nothing against Campbell or Taylor or Deanna Joseph. But if they find themselves needing runs, I think in a must-win game, you back your experience. And if Dottin and Hayley Matthews get going together, there is no stopping the West Indies. It doesn't matter how good of a bowling attack you have. So she's been a big boost to that middle order. Whereas in the past, when Matthews has gotten out, they've had so much reliance on a Taylor and they've had to insert her in at 4 and 5. It's been great to have just her presence alone. And as you said, I think she's slowly inching her way back to the old Dottin, the world boss that we're used to seeing, and won that World Cup for the West Indies.
Yeah, and we just looked briefly at the permutations for the semi-final prospects. And as unlikely as it may seem, there is a possibility that England could miss out on a semi-final spot if they lose badly to the West Indies here. A big West Indies win would send the West Indies and South Africa through to the semis, and England would be out. But how big would that win have to be to see England not being into the semis?
I think for England to make it, if they lose, they've got to win. I think lose with just 1 or 2 balls to spare. So I don't think that is a massive possibility and likely of happening. But again, I mean, cricket is a funny game. You just never know. But I wouldn't. It would be amazing to think about a prospect of having the playoffs of a T20 World Cup without England and India, 2 teams that you could have easily said will win the World Cup at the beginning of it. But that's how tournament play is. Sometimes that's the way the tournament is set up this year. And the West Indies have got a chance here. This is going to be pressure, just like it was for India. It doesn't matter how strong England have been in the past years. A World Cup is always pressure, and they will be expected to comfortably win this game and win by a big margin to put themselves into the semi-finals. If a couple of things start going against them in that game, the West Indies must drive home that underdog tie, because it's going to play a factor. The pressure always plays a factor on a big stage.
Yeah, well, Nikhil, I know it's very late where you are. I want to thank you so much for just waking up and chatting with us. I really hope you can fall back asleep quickly, and thank you so much.
Me too, right? Me too.
All right.
See you all later.
No problem. Nikhil Uttamchandani getting out of his sleep just to join us here on the SportsMax Zone. And we privilege. We're going to take a break and come right back.